The unnamed mystery. Here's something that'll blow your mind. After decades of Star Wars content, hundreds of books, comics, games, and shows, we still don't know what Yoda's species is called. Not even close. George Lucas deliberately kept this information locked away tighter than the holocron vault in the Jedi Temple. According to multiple interviews, Lucas wanted Yoda to remain mysterious, almost mythical, and revealing something as mundane as a species name would have stripped away that mystique. This isn't an oversight or forgotten lore detail. It's an intentional creative decision that's been maintained across both canon and Legends continuities. Even Disney's story group, the keepers of modern Star Wars canon, have explicitly stated that Yoda's species remains one of the franchise's most protected secrets. In the book, Star Wars: Absolutely Everything You Need to Know, it's confirmed that the species name is unknown, and their homeworld has never been identified in any official capacity. What makes this even more fascinating is that we've had nearly 900 years of galactic history to observe members of this species, yet they remain as enigmatic as they were when Yoda first appeared in The Empire Strikes Back. Every attempt by writers, game developers, and comic artists to explore their origins has been shut down by Lucasfilm. It's like there's a cosmic non-disclosure agreement preventing anyone from pulling back the curtain. This level of secrecy isn't just about maintaining mystery for mystery's sake. It's about preserving something fundamental to Star Wars' sense of wonder and the unknown. 2. 3 known members. In current Disney canon, only 3 members of Yoda's species have been confirmed to exist. First, obviously, there's Yoda himself, the legendary Jedi Grandmaster who trained Jedi for over 8 centuries before his death on Dagobah, 900 years old in 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. According to Star Wars Complete Locations, Yoda served on the Jedi High Council for centuries and personally trained thousands of younglings in the ways of the Force. Then we have Yaddle, a female member of the species who also served on the Jedi High Council during the final years of the Galactic Republic. She appeared in The Phantom Menace, sitting alongside Yoda, though she had no speaking lines. The canon novel Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray confirmed that Yaddle was on the council and was considered a wise and compassionate Jedi Master. She was approximately 477 years old when we saw her in Episode 1. Tales of the Jedi revealed her fate. She sacrificed herself on a moon in the Brendok system to save innocent lives from a chemical weapon attack, demonstrating the species' characteristic selflessness. And then came Grogu, affectionately nicknamed Baby Yoda by fans, who exploded onto the scene in The Mandalorian, born around 41 years before the Battle of Yavin. Grogu was raised in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant before Order 66 went down. According to The Mandalorian Season 2, he was hidden away during the Purge and survived for decades afterward. His raw Force abilities, despite his age and lack of formal training, demonstrate the species' innate connection to the Force. By Season 3, Grogu chose to return to Din Djarin instead of completing his Jedi training with Luke Skywalker, marking the first time we've seen one of this species actively choose a different path. 3. Legends lore revealed. In the old expanded universe, now branded as Legends, we got a few more glimpses of this mysterious species, though they're no longer considered official canon. There was Minch, another ancient Jedi Master who some sources suggested might have been Yoda himself, or a different individual entirely. The confusion around Minch's identity actually highlights how deliberately obscure Lucasfilm kept this species even in Legends continuity. More definitively, the Knights of the Old Republic video game series introduced us to Vandar Takare, a Jedi Master who lived approximately 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Vandar served during the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War, demonstrating this species' influence spanning millennia. He was renowned for his wisdom and teaching abilities, characteristics that appear universal to them. His existence in ancient history suggests they've been intertwined with the Jedi Order since its foundation. The Old Republic era also gave us Jedi Master Oteg, who appeared in the Star Wars The Old Republic massively multiplayer online game. Oteg was a military strategist and fleet commander during the renewed war with the Sith Empire, approximately 3,600 years before the Battle of Yavin. Unlike the typically peaceful Yoda or Vandar, Oteg was more militaristic and direct, demonstrating that personality traits can vary within the species, just like any other sentient beings. However, Even with his military focus, Oteg never showed any inclination toward the dark side. Across all these Legends appearances, one pattern held absolutely firm. Every single member of the species was a Jedi. Not just Force-sensitive, but specifically aligned with the light side of the Force and the Jedi Order. That's not a coincidence. 4. Force connection unmatched. Let's talk about what makes this species absolutely unique in terms of Force sensitivity. It's not just that they're Force-sensitive, it's that they possess a natural connection exceeding almost every other species in the galaxy. Yoda's midichlorian count was never officially stated in canon, but his raw power and centuries of mastery speak for themselves. According to Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Yoda could commune directly with the Force itself, learning from the Force priestesses on the wellspring of life, something even other Jedi Masters couldn't accomplish. Grogu's abilities provide even more insight into this innate power. Despite being a child with minimal training, he could use Force healing, an extremely rare ability requiring immense skill and connection to the living Force. The Mandalorian showed him levitating a mudhorn, healing serious wounds, and even deflecting fire. These aren't skills that normal Force-sensitive children possess without years of training. In the Book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker himself was amazed at Grogu's natural abilities, stating that he'd rarely encountered someone with such raw talent. The species' extended lifespan significantly amplifies their Force mastery. With centuries to develop their connection and understanding, they achieve levels of wisdom and power that shorter-lived species simply can't match. Yoda had 800 years to refine his understanding of the Force. That's not just experience, that's generational knowledge compressed into a single lifetime. According to Star Wars Complete Locations, Yoda spent centuries studying ancient Jedi texts and Force techniques that others had forgotten, building an unparalleled understanding of the Force. 5. Dark side immunity. Now here's where things get really interesting. Across millennia of galactic history, spanning both canon and Legends continuities, not a single member of Yoda's species has ever fallen to the dark side. Not one. Think about how statistically improbable that is. We've seen countless Jedi from hundreds of species fall to darkness. Humans, Zabraks, Twi'leks, Keldors, you name it. Even species considered wise and peaceful, like the Syrians, have produced Darksiders. But this species, absolutely zero recorded cases. This isn't just about the ones we've seen on screen. According to Star Wars: The Jedi Path, a training manual for Jedi, the archives contained records of thousands of Jedi throughout history. While we can't confirm how many of Yoda's species were among them in canon, the fact that we've never encountered even a reference to a dark side member is staggering. During The Clone Wars, Season 6, when Yoda underwent trials on the Force planet Moraband and experienced visions testing his character, he faced manifestations of darkness and doubt. Even these spiritual challenges, designed to expose any weakness toward darkness, found nothing to corrupt within him. The Mandalorian. Season 3 introduced Grogu to the living waters of Mandalore, a place steeped in Mandalorian mysticism rather than Jedi teachings. Even removed from strict Jedi structure and exposed to Mandalorian warrior culture, which embraces more morally gray areas than the Jedi Order, Grogu showed no inclination toward darkness. He remained compassionate, protective, and firmly rooted in the light. Something fundamental seems to prevent them from falling, regardless of external circumstances or training environment. This resistance becomes even more significant considering the temptations they've faced. Yoda lived through the rise of the Sith, the fall of the Republic, and the decimation of the Jedi Order. He experienced failure on a galactic scale. Yet even in his darkest moments of doubt and guilt, feelings we witnessed in Revenge of the Sith and referenced in The Last Jedi, he never turned. 6. The biology theory. So what's the explanation? One prevalent theory among fans and in-universe scholars points to biology. Perhaps the species has a fundamentally different neurological or physiological structure, making them inherently resistant to the dark side's corrupting influence. Star Wars: The Clone Wars showed us that different species experience the Force differently based on their biology. The Dathomirians use the Force through ritualistic magic. The Bardatans have their own unique relationship with what they call the living force. Maybe Yoda's species has a brain structure or midi-chlorian arrangement that processes force energy differently than other species. Their midi-chlorians might resist corruption, or their neural pathways might naturally reject the aggressive, fear-based emotions fueling the dark side. Their awareness of subtle force disturbances seems heightened compared to other Jedi. According to Star Wars, absolutely everything you need to know, Yoda could sense disturbances in the Force across vast distances, detecting threats others missed entirely. Their centuries-long lifespans could contribute to this biological advantage. With such extensive time to live, they might process emotions more slowly and deliberately. The impulsiveness and passion leading many to the dark side might be biologically dampened in beings who think in terms of centuries rather than decades. According to Master and Apprentice, Yaddle was known for her patience and thoughtful consideration, characteristics that appear universal among them. Additionally, their small stature, combined with immense force power, creates an interesting dynamic. They're not physically imposing, meaning they've never relied on physical intimidation or strength. This has evolutionary implications. They developed force abilities as their primary survival mechanism, but did so emphasizing harmony with the Force rather than domination of it. 7. The cultural theory. The biological explanation is compelling, but there's another possibility that's equally fascinating: cultural programming. What if they aren't biologically immune to the dark side, but rather their culture and early childhood development create such a strong foundation in light side philosophy that falling becomes nearly impossible? Think about how crucial early development is for Force-sensitive beings. The Jedi Order took children young specifically to train them before they developed attachments and emotional patterns that could lead to darkness. Now consider that every member we've encountered was raised within their own culture before joining the Jedi. We know from The Mandalorian that Grogu was raised in the Jedi Temple after being taken from his homeworld, but he experienced those crucial early years somewhere else first. Yaddle and Yoda presumably had similar early experiences within their native culture. What if that society has been refining light side philosophy for tens of thousands of years? Their homeworld remains unknown, but that isolation might be key. According to speculation in various reference books, they might originate from a world deep in the unknown regions or even beyond known space. This isolation would have allowed a culture to develop completely untouched by galactic conflicts, Sith influence, or the moral compromises accompanying galactic civilization. Their philosophy might be so purely focused on harmony, balance, and compassion that by the time they join the Jedi Order, the dark side simply isn't a conceptual framework they can adopt. Tales of the Jedi showed us Yaddle's selfless sacrifice, a moment perfectly embodying what might be a species-wide cultural value. The collective good always outweighs personal survival. If this value is instilled from birth and reinforced through every cultural practice and teaching, it would create individuals fundamentally incapable of the selfishness fueling the dark side. The dark side requires prioritizing your own desires, fears, and anger above all else. A culture making such prioritization literally unthinkable would produce individuals immune to its temptations. 8. The mysterious truth. Here's what we know for certain. Yoda's species has demonstrated a perfect track record of resisting the dark side across millennia and multiple historical eras. Whether this resistance comes from biology, culture, or some combination of both, the result is undeniable. In canon sources like Star Wars Complete Visual Dictionary, it's confirmed that they remain one of the greatest mysteries in the galaxy, with their homeworld, culture, and even their name kept hidden from galactic knowledge. The truth is probably more complex than a single explanation. Biology and culture don't exist in isolation from each other. A species that evolved a certain way would naturally develop a culture working with those biological traits. If they have a natural inclination toward patience, emotional stability, and long-term thinking, their culture would have developed to reinforce and celebrate those characteristics. Over thousands of generations, you'd create a feedback loop where biology shapes culture, and culture reinforces biological tendencies. George Lucas's decision to keep them mysterious wasn't just about maintaining wonder, it was about preserving something important to Star Wars mythology. The moment we get a complete scientific or cultural explanation, we lose something essential. They represent the idea that some beings are simply meant to walk in the light, that the Force itself might guide certain species toward wisdom and away from corruption. That's a powerful concept in a universe where the dark side's temptation is otherwise universal. The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett have shown us that this mystery will continue. Grogu's story is still unfolding, and through him, we might learn more about what makes his species special. But even as we learn more, Lucasfilm has made clear that some secrets will remain secrets. The species' name, their homeworld, and the full explanation for their immunity to darkness will likely stay locked away, preserved as one of Star Wars' most enduring enigmas. What do you think is the real reason Yoda's species never falls to the dark side? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're hyped for more deep dives into Star Wars' greatest mysteries, hit that hype button to support the channel. May the Force be with you, always.